Greetings viewers. Maybe you haven't heard, but I'm a genocide denier, I'm a sad excuse for a human, and just various other nasty things like that. I'm a Nazi apologist, etc, etc. Now I should be rather offended by this, shouldn't I? And if these assertions have been made by someone with a brain, I might be. However, they weren't. They have been... this notion has been promoted by a guy called Spanonski, a YouTuber, who appears to be a Croatian Ustashe, or at least someone who whitewashes them. In response to my recent video, the real Srebrenica genocide, and I realise it's actually Srebrenica, but you know, Srebrenica rolls off my tongue a bit easier. He posted a comment. So according to you, Holocaust never happened as well? I never mentioned the Nazi genocide. You genocide deniers are just as bass as Nazis. Fair enough. And of course he posted a comment on my YouTube homepage, which you can all go and have a read of. It caused me to laugh, actually. But he posted this bizarre video response to my one called Serbian Lies Exposed, Srebrenica. And it starts off with, it's basically got all this nice, happy, cheery music, and it starts off with the text, Serbs caught in their lies, and goes on to make various confusing assertions, some of which may be true, but I tend to doubt it. Certainly many are false. And he provides links to a UN page and a page of Human Rights Watch. Now the thing is, his video didn't catch any Serbian lies or expose them, and certainly didn't catch any Serbs in their lies, so I don't really know what he's on about. I encourage you all to go and watch his video. You can see for yourself. Now, one thing I want to make very clear. This has got nothing to do with Croatians per se, and I for one would be absolutely astonished if absolutely no Serbian soldier or police officer or paramilitary or whatever committed zero atrocities at all during the 1990s Balkan Wars. It would be extremely naive to think that. The cold harsh reality of military conflicts is that, as far as I'm aware, none has occurred where both sides are completely clean, right? But that is quite a bit different from saying that the Serbs had a policy of genocidal ethnic cleansing or committing atrocities. And furthermore, if whatever atrocities this, any particular Serb may have committed, I haven't seen any real evidence of it. I mean, I'm sure it exists out there somewhere, but I haven't seen it. All the popular ones have turned out to be hoaxes and frauds. And even the things which the Serbs are falsely accused of don't even approach the barbarity of those committed by the Croatian Ustashe and the Bosnian Islamists and the KLA, etc. All the various forces that are attacking Serbia and Serbs. So that's the moral argument. It's not about whitewashing any crimes that some Serb may have committed. It's about exposing the overall criminality which occurred in that war, and seeing quite clearly the Serbs just simply are not responsible for most of it. Anyway, I'm not going to go into this, the real Srebrenica genocide again. You can go to that and you can look at the links in the description column to see the what the real genocide which occurred around Srebrenica, who really perpetrated it. What little so-called evidence Spanonski does provide, well, there's one from Human Rights Watch, written by one Bogdan Ivanisevic, who is described as a researcher, and it can be dismissed as propaganda. Why? Well, it totally whitewashes the crimes of Nasser Oric, the Bosnian Islamist commander. And how do I know it whitewashes it? Well, because in 1994 he bragged about atrocities he'd committed against the Serbs. He was quite proud of it. And also that article pretends that the ICTY is a legitimate court, but it's not, because NATO itself says that, not in so many words, but they more or less say that they own the tribunal. They are certainly partners. So the whole notion that it's a fair and impartial court is just absurd. Yeah. Also, Human Rights Watch. Wouldn't know where to begin on them, so I've just provided, just one link on them. But anyone who is a serious human rights activist should not take Human Rights Watch seriously. They are George Soros, among others, funded, US establishment front group, essentially. So I provide a link to who is behind Human Rights Watch, where you will get to see the various corporate Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderberg, etc. members who are part of Human Rights Watch, who are on its board, and so on, including, interestingly, the Jesuits, which, for those who have studied the Vatican, which incidentally was behind the Croatian Ustashe, the Vatican has a very extensive role in global politics, which is generally not well known, and so I provide a link to a website called spirituallysmart.com, which has much information on the Vatican. Other links I include are about the suppressed history of the Holocaust in Croatia. Something in the order of 800,000 Serbs were killed by the Croatians. That's not including the several tens of thousands of Jews and Gypsies that were killed as well. And also little-known Serbian history, such as in 1941, where the Serbs and the Montenegrins actually rose up and overthrew their own government, which was going to capitulate to the Nazis. This in turn forced Hitler to delay the invasion of the Soviet Union, because he had to send troops into Yugoslavia, and because of that delay, the Nazis were trapped in the deadly Russian winter. So a fairly strong case could be made that the Serbs and Montenegrins who rose up against their own government for this could have just possibly saved the world from an Axis victory. Just possibly. Right? I also provide a link to a footnote in another article where it explains that when the Nazis did invade Serbia, they found virtually no anti-Semitism. They couldn't get Serbs to cooperate with their plans for the Jews, and so they were forced to implement the anti-Semitic policies in Serbia themselves. And also, the Serb civilians, during the Nazi occupation there, how they resisted. I mean, there's just simply no comparison with any other European country, So all of a sudden we're expected to believe that the Serbs, with this cultural history of resistance to fascism, suddenly became the new Nazis in the 1990s Balkan Wars. And the major reason that the media could sort of pull off this is because very few people know anything about Serbian history. And I also provide links to what the Croatians, the Ustashe forces actually did in the 1990s Balkans Wars. The ethnic cleansing of 200,000 Serbs from the Krajina by 100,000 Croatian troops with armoured support and NATO air cover, and led by retired, quote-unquote, US officers from the MPRI Corporation. I mean, there's so much. Now, one thing it is important to realise is I'm not knocking Croatians. One of my best friends in primary school was Croatian. A girl I met at a dance party a few years ago was Croatian, and she readily acknowledged Croatian atrocities, and she'd been to Serbia and described the Serbs as a very friendly people, and she acknowledged that they'd been slandered. Another Croatian guy I worked with briefly a couple of years ago, nice guy, but he was telling me that the Serbs started it. However, he was saying this not as a Croatian nationalist who was Serbophobic. He was saying it as someone who, as a child, their family fled to Australia, and he was saying it basically as someone who believed the Western media. And he was fascinated by what I had to tell him. Like, I'm basically telling him the same sort of stuff I'm saying now and in some of my other videos, and he was very interested in that. So this isn't about bagging Croatians or anything like that, or for that matter bagging Muslims. So anyway, that's my ramble. I'm not going to deal with this Spanonski too much. He's just another troll by the looks of it, a Ustashe apologist, and a Bosnian an Islamo-fascist apologist as well. So that's about it. Do please watch his video. Watch mine again if you feel you have to. And be aware, because there's disinformation everywhere. Catch us round.